Hello, I'm Toycat, and I'm coming to you from a street today to talk about street food. It's affordable, delicious, approachable, and most importantly has variety, so if you need to go somewhere with friends, it's one of the best options because you can all get something you want, rather than one person just having to get the burger and the side because they're not happy with all of the other options, which is why today I'm going to be showing you some street food options in the north, east, south, and west of London by going to 4 separate food markets and eating a lot of food. It's going to be a fat Saturday for me, but I'm excited for it, starting with this market right here. It looks like a random street. It claims it was finished in 1893, but it's actually also the oldest street food market in London. Spitalfields has a claim to being from the 1600s, and I would refute that claim after I go in and show you East London's best outside-ish market. Welcome to Spitalfields. So lots of the markets I'll be showing today do have entire sections dedicated to the not food, but as someone who just wants to eat far too much of it, let me show you what Spitalfields has as far as vendors go. They have this big selection of stalls in the middle, they have then another selection of stalls over here, and then if you want like sit-down restaurants, they're actually just behind all of this, if you look up there, but we're not in the mood for any of that. Instead, I'm going to find some nice baked goods. While I'm here, might as well give some recommendations, by the way. This is Wilcake Island, absolutely incredible, weird, pancake-style desserts. And there's also Lebab, my favorite kebab place in all of London. And you know, it's high praise when it comes from me. Kebab fiend. Honestly, there's a lot of good options in there, at least this time of day. I've got a couple of favorites, Lebab and the Wilcake House. But I decided to go into Jambiang, which is, by the way, it makes me want to try their food so bad. But I got an iced sesame oat latte. And then I went to the Polka Dot Bakery because it just, first of all, very nice, but also everything just looked so incredible. It was that over-the-top type of incredible too, where like, this is a pretzel salted caramel brownie, and just look at it. I should not be touching this, but look at that. It's just a slab of goodness. It looks like, is it like that in reality though? I'll find out. Oh, I hate pretzels, just to be clear here, but the saltiness of that comes so through nicely with the moistness of the brownie. Brownies are so good if you can get them that right level of moist, which they have done right here. So the second thing I got was this. It is a it is a cherry Bakewell cookie sandwich. So it's 2 cookies, but they're square, with some like Oreo style filling in between. For £4, this seems like it's incredible value, but does it taste incredible? Because if not, there's no value in anything. It's good. I'll eat the whole thing happily right now. But it's 8 out of 10 good. The brownie, one of the best brownies I've ever had. This, only in the top 20 for cookies. And you know, that's a good thing still. Would still recommend it, but get the brownies. Oh yeah. Love it. But this iced sesame oat latte has no flavor of coffee in there, which is my favorite thing. But it just tastes like a vague milkshake, and sesame is an interesting flavor for a milkshake. I like the idea of getting milkshakes in cups like this though. We should normalize, instead of drinking 200 calories and a coffee in the morning just to get functioning, just have a milkshake. You can get your breakfast in there, you can get your desires and your dreams in there. Milkshakes are more important, but this was the East London market. It's one of the best ones in East London. There's quite a few good choices here. However, now we're gonna go to North. I've come to Camden Market, which is one of the more controversial ones in London. There are a lot of people here if you come at any busy time, but let's see how good the food is. I've got a couple of fun options in mind. So before I dive into why I think that Camden is a controversial pick, I'm going to start with the food. I went to a place called Cow, naan melts from Karachi. Honestly, just something about the cheesy mixed with like a nice thick bread from earlier and some meat in there too, just immediately appealed to me. So this is a kebab melt naan bread, and then I've also got some vegan Thai food. I had to buy something for my lovely camera person right here, and so this looks very delicious, but I'm gonna try a little bit just to claim it. You know, you can't let someone else have your food before you have a bite. Really good actually. This was £9.50, and I've got to say, thank you camera person for paying the Toycat tax and the more food today. Really, really good noodles actually. Big fan of that. But is it meat, or rather is it kebab meat, cheese, and naan bread all in the same package? I love all three of these things individually. Can they make them work together? They can. So I was worried that they would go like overpoweringly on the cheese, but it is just kind of there as a nice texture between what is otherwise very kebab meat tasting. Never mind. Cheesy bite. The cheese is a flavor by itself. It's very much a paneer kind of flavor. I think that's very logical, but still kind of interesting. But that all together, and we got something very special. Yeah, the bread by itself, not actually very marvelous, but the flavors combined, that is something that is getting my lunch going. But I think we should talk a little bit about why it is that if you speak to some Londoners, this place is not the first choice. This is by far London's most popular outdoor market. In fact, I say Camden Market and the Camden Lock Market, but really this entire area has just been consumed by markets of various types. Right now, I'm on a street filled with many other places of their own type, and this is just how it is in this area. The place was kind of downtrodden 30 years ago maybe, and has been this continual place that has risen for these small stands like this. And it means that I think everyone has this perception of Camden as being what it was like when they first came to London, but instead it grows and grows and grows, both geographically but also in terms of density, and it means that it's one of the busiest tube stations to get out of, and the entire time you walk from there to the market, it's crazy crowded, and then when you're at the market, you won't find a place to sit, obviously. I mean, street food, you might not expect that anyway. Finding a decent place to stand that isn't just in the middle where people are going to barge past you is also incredibly hard on any Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so that is, I'm like 4 blocks over, and you can still see how busy it is, by the way. So that is, I think, the thing that people don't like about it. It is very popular, which means the downsides of lots of people, but also it means that, you know, it's so popular that you might get more mainstream random things, generic Chinese food, generic whatever, mixed in with the actual gems, like cheesy pasta. Maybe that's a gem or not, it's maybe up to you. Or this random TikTok taco place that is very happy with itself. So yeah, I would say keep that in mind. But if you just want to see a lot of food markets and you're in London, this is the place. It's good too. So that is Camden Market down, and now I'm going to walk over to Portobello Road, because weirdly enough, even though they're very close together, 20 minutes by road, there's not really any decent tube or bus connections. And so you know what? Google says it's a 2-hour walk. They can't tell me what to do. Google Maps was lying. It actually took me so long to get here that my hair grew longer, as it turns out, and the season seems to have changed. But this is Portobello Road Market, the world famous, apparently, that I'm at. And on Fridays and Saturdays, they have some food mixed in with the rest of the usual things you find at a flea market. I know a lot of people love that. That's not what I'm ever at a market for. But I have heard that in particular, there is something called London Claws, a place where I can find a lobster roll, which my personal bias is telling me to get. But we're going to look at all the other food along the way in one of the most crowded, definitely the most crowded of the ones we've been so far here. It is insanely busy, and honestly, this is at like 3 p.m. Apparently it starts packed at the very beginning. It's packed basically all the way till the very end, and so just keep that in mind. If you're not a crowd through people for multiple streets as there's lots of cars going past and things happening, then you might not have a great time. But I'm going to, because I'm getting a lobster roll. Couldn't find the lobster roll, I think it's gone, so instead I got a taco. Tiny bit of East London bias showing through here, but honestly things have been a little bit disappointing so far. So here is the basic guide to markets, but in my opinion, if something just says noodles, or it just says like Spanish food or Vietnamese, eat here, they're not even building a brand. They're just saying, yeah, well, you're here just to sell food. And in my opinion, that is a sign the food's not going to be good. You can usually look at it and it looks pretty generic. It's there for hungry people who just go, I want this. And so all I found so far that intrigued me was a bakery with a crookie. This cost me just £2. So a little curious. It looks a little messy, but messy can be good. And then inside of the Spanish Institute, directly attached to the market here, is Hungry Taco, and I am hungry specifically for a taco. So this was £4, and honestly, on the cheap vibe, looking good. On the flavor vibe, looking good. Got to put the lime on there, of course. Lost the radish in the process. But how's it taste? Very radishy. A little over radish, if I'm being honest. I'll take the radishes out, and I'll go again. Oh yeah. I feel like pulled pork is like the best thing to go inside of a taco. It just works so well. It's a corn tortilla, really nice put together. Lovely green salsa in there. Perfect. The only thing that does confuse me is the cucumber, but I feel like that might actually perfectly fit it in a way I'm not expecting, so. And now we can move on to this, the crookie. What's it gonna taste like? Honestly, it does just look like cookie dough filled inside of a croissant, but that doesn't sound too bad. Very hard, bad sign. The croissant is a 0 out of 10. If someone fed you this croissant, you'd be disappointed with them. Cookie dough is like a 7 though. Does that average out to a 3.5, or is that a 7 with a 0 attached? Averages out to a 3.5. Come to Hungry Taco. Otherwise, I wouldn't say come to Portobello Road Market for the food. It's definitely focused on the tat, I guess, is the way you might put it. But I feel like that has some impolite connotations. If you want stuff, if you go somewhere and you're like, I want to see some stuff, this be the place for you. If you have friends that don't eat, and you don't want to eat either, then this is where you bring them. You get them a big old portion of fries for £12, or a hot dog for £8. Actually, that's not too terrible. But otherwise, yeah. Well, I guess now we've done West London. The only thing left is South London. You know, my favorite thing about South London is always the fun bit where you advise people where they should visit in London, places to visit in London. If you haven't tried East London, it's great. It's like Central London, but a little bit more gritty. Central London's also pretty great though. North London is wonderful, and so is West London. Those are all the places you should visit while you're here. Like and subscribe for that high quality content. Because of my less than stellar experience in the West London market, I was ready to say something no one has ever said before, and that was that I was excited to go to South London. And honestly, Market Metropolitato is a very fancy place. It looks very generic at the start because they have these big boards that just say cheesesteaks, ramen, or lobster rolls above them. However, if you take a closer look, you can see these are real businesses. They're just trying to keep some consistency in the branding. They also have very loud music, which is why I'm doing this voiceover, because after one glance at the cheesesteaks, I knew I had to try this. It's the closest thing the Americans have to the traditional European kebab, and it's something I wanted to try because it's so easy to do right in my mind, but also so easy to get wrong. And so I grabbed a truffle one of those, a little bit bougie because this market does kind of vibe that way. And then also I went to this ramen place and ordered a dry ramen. Honestly, I know this sounds dumb, but my biggest criticism of ramen style noodles is the soup you get at the bottom. I don't want to eat soup, I'm here for the noodles, and so a dry ramen sounds like it would solve that. Here is the cheesesteak, looking absolutely incredible. I've got to admit, I am partial to truffle, but this was some really well done steak as well. I absolutely loved it, and on a very British style baguette, honestly. It was a bit of a weird contrast, but it worked well. It was fresh, it was delicious, and it was super cheesy in all the ways that you want when you're having something like this. And I have to say, absolute 10 out of 10, really big fan. Looking forward to coming back and having another one of these. Is something that you rarely think the moment you've finished eating something, but right here is what I thought. I want to try the other types of cheesesteaks they have, whereas with Ramen Impossible, which is a fully vegan ramen place, but doesn't advertise that at all, which I think is a good vouch. They're not just trying to say, come to us, we're the only place where you cannot eat meat, but also they're actually going for a decent ramen, and this was really good. I was expecting it to be tangy, but it ended up being nutty, and it got even better when you added the raw garlic and stirred that in. It was a very complicated flavor, and honestly, I love that a lot. This was a solid bowl of not ramen, and this was a solid cheesesteak. I was very happy with both of these, and honestly, I was very happy with Market Metropolitato, but now is the time to review which of these four markets is the best. This is a fun gimmick we'll do at the end here to kind of summarize the day. Definitely one day of food markets we did here. Because ultimately, going to any big food market anywhere in London is probably going to be a good experience if you go with people that you like. If people enjoy going to even a bad market, you'll have a good time being amongst people you care about. But if, like me, you're specifically there for the food and, you know, the friends can just go off to a corner by themselves, then this is the most important thing you need to know. Which of these is the best on that metric? I think that really it kind of comes down to what you want from an experience. Camden has the most number of stalls, and therefore the most stalls that are famous or as seen on TikTok. And if you're the sort of person who would love to go home and be like, I went and ate the TikTok thing, you're probably going to find it in Camden. This does come with a slightly higher price tag and a slightly higher crowding factor, but if you don't mind those things too much, if you don't mind just taking some food, walking it a little bit further out, then honestly, it's not too bad. If you go on not a major weekend or weekday holiday, then you'll do pretty great in Camden.
Camden. As to regards to the best mix of like, because as much as I like Metropolitato, it has a similar problem of, although these are smaller brands, they also all are ones that have to be picked by Market Metropolitato. And so if you want to have a mixture of that with some very, very small stores, like literally a single vegan cake seller, which is surprisingly good, the Polka Dot Bakery. But there's so many individual places that exist just there, and it's one person with one tiny stall. If you love that idea, I think you'll get that best in East London with Spitalfields. And if you want to have the best experience that also covers a place to drink, Market Metropolitato is really good at that. They're really interesting locations. It feels a tiny bit like an apocalypse, but in a good way in some cases. They've got one that's a church, and in my opinion, that makes it the best place to be for an extended period of time. And so that's what you've got to kind of decide. Do you want to have somewhere to be for a while? Do you want to have somewhere to find the cool TikTok stuff? Or do you want to have something that has the independent mix in with the rest? And otherwise, you can go, if you don't like any of those things, you can go to West London. And Portobello Road is great for things, I'm sure. So that was my food market tour of London. And honestly, the one thing I'm taking away from this video, as someone who does enjoy trying interesting foods, is I want to go right back to Market Metropolitato and just try as many stalls there as I can. So you probably have a good idea as to what's going to be next on this channel. For now though, thank you for watching. Thank you for being subscribed. I know we had a little bit of a fun time with videos on this channel, and I look forward to seeing you for my next food video and more business expense related channel stuff. Goodbye.